Ellie, fantastic to have you on the show. Now, I haven't massively followed this, apart from, like I said, headlines that you just can't ignore. Can you give us, if at all possible, a sort of synopsis of really what this is about and what the main accusations have been?
Of course. So this has been a 7-week trial taking place in Fairfax County in Virginia, and it all stems from a 2018 Washington Post op-ed that Amber Heard wrote, and in it she said that she'd been a victim of domestic abuse. She didn't name Johnny Depp, but it became quite clear that that's who she indicated was the perpetrator of this alleged abuse. He then had a lot of his work pulled from him. He was lined up for a lot of shows, a lot of films. That was all pulled from him because he'd essentially been accused of being a domestic abuser. He then sued her for $50 million, which is what this case began with. She then countersued him for $100 million, claiming that his team essentially had spread lies and accusations about her, saying that she'd made all of this up, fabricated the entire thing, and that it was all of a hoax, and that in turn destroyed her reputation and stopped her from working. So we're now here, and the reason it's actually in Fairfax is because the Post is published there. So we expect this all to take place in Los Angeles. It didn't. It's taking place away from that, which I think is a good thing to happen. We're now at the end of 7 weeks. They both took the stand yesterday for the final time. The defence rested, and that marks the end of 23 days of testimony. We've heard the ins and outs of allegations, like you mentioned before, that some of them are just really disturbing. And now the jury are going to be asked today after closing arguments to deliberate on whether or not Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp in her 2018 op-ed. And essentially that's the crux of the argument. If they say that yes, in fact, she did defame him, then they could award him with the $50 million he's asking for, or they could say, we're going to set a sum higher or lower than that. And on the other hand, if they say no, she didn't, and find that actually, there was this alleged smear campaign, and they say that that is proven that he did that and besmirched her name, that then they could say he has to pay her the $100 million that she's asking for, or again, a sum lower or higher than that. But essentially, I think the money, as ridiculous as it sounds, is not the crux of what both are going after. It's their reputation, it's their careers. If someone comes out of this and is deemed the winner, or is deemed, to have their reputation restored, they can then go back to working and earning the millions of dollars that they do. So the implications of what the jury find, no matter the sums of money involved at the end of it, will determine the future of their careers.
Well, it seems to me both of them, through washing dirty laundry in public, have probably destroyed their careers, because both of them now are going to have some of the most ugly headlines and ugly allegations and accusations hanging over them. Yeah,
absolutely. I think when Amber Heard brought this to trial, she thought, I'm an innocent person here. I'm the victim of domestic abuse, and I have a right to say that. I have a right to stand up for those victims. Unfortunately for her, what's come out is testimony from experts that say that she has personality disorders, that she's not particularly well, allegations of fabricating incidents and things that happened, and twisting conversations and footage. And Johnny's legal team essentially setting her out to be a kind of Gone Girl figure who's fabricated this entire thing, and in return his reputation has been completely destroyed because of the allegations from her side, which say that some of the things that he did, sexual abuse which involves bottles and all sorts of really violent, really ugly scenes, it's hard to come back from. And it's difficult, I think, for anyone to think that any of them, whether man or woman, could come up with these allegations that aren't true, because again, like you said, that takes it to a further dimension of, if they happen, it's horrendous. If they've been falsely, brought to light, if they're not true and they're fabricated, then that's just a different level of ugly. So it's a really nasty case. It's been quite traumatizing for a lot of people to watch and sit through and listen to these things. And I don't think anyone truly comes out of a winner, but in terms of reputation, in terms of whether film production companies think they can touch them, what the jury decides really, really will matter in this.